Thanks for joining us today. I've got Akiba Leisman, CEO of Mako Mining, and today we're going to be discussing the press release that Mako Mining put out on June 22nd, 2020. So Akiba, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Deb.
Yeah, I thought it was worth discussing. You put out a material release last week and you've got another one today, so I thought it would just be worth going over some of the results and also giving an update on construction and COVID delays. So I don't know where you want to start, whether it's with the results or with the corporate update.
Yeah, might as well start with the results. So we did get a couple of more holes back from the lab, maybe about 48 hours after we put out the press release last week. And these two actually were fairly important. The first one was hole LC 2246, which hits 40.5 grams gold over 4.3 meters, albeit that's 2.1 meters true width. We're just to the right of that Rosabelle moniker. That's the Bayacun Zone that we're drilling out right now. Currently, we've had 40 holes released. 37 of them have hit, and the ones that have missed have been basically structural issues. We had one dike and two fault offsets. So we basically had a 100% hit rate in this particular zone itself. Now, hole 246 contains the single highest grade individual assay that we have in the entire Las Conchitas database. We hit 137 grams a ton over a gram within that 40.5 gram per ton composite assay over 4.3 meters. So it's always great to hit these super high grades. This pulled the strike maybe about 22 meters from another hole that we released last week that hit 3-ounce material over just under 1 meter. Now, the more important geological hole was 247. In last week's press release, we announced that we opened up an exploration pit. It was LC20 EP142. And in that press release last week, we announced that we took channel samples within this exposed veins. That's all the way underneath that E that you see, that surface expression that we announced last week. We hit grades in channel samples from a 1/2 ounce to 1 ounce material. And we always caution investors not to make investment decisions based on what you get from trench or channel sample surface expression results, because you could have certain near surface enrichment going on. But we did drill underneath that down dip, about 110 meters down dip in hole LC 2247, and that hit 17 grams gold over 4.5 meters, 4.3 meters true width. So we are convinced right now there's structural continuity between what we exposed and released last week in that exploration pit to what we're drilling down at depth. And even though that was 110 meters down dip, it's only a little over 20 meters from surface where this mineralization occurs. Now, this has pulled the strike of the Bayacun Zone well in excess of 200 meters, and it is wide open along strike to the northeast. So we do believe that we have our second deposit. We're going to still drill it to find the constraints, the contours of it over the course of the next 6 to 12 months. But next calendar year, in 2021, we expect to have a maiden resource on our most prospective areas of Las Conchitas, such that by 2022, we can be mining this as our second mining front to the mine that we're currently under construction over at San Albino.
And it's this area down here next to Rosabelle?
Yeah, that's right.
And just to give people some context, can you identify, I'll give you the controls, I think you should be able to have them, where it is on this long section map? Maybe identify where San Albino is and give us some context.
So if you can see my cursor, I'm assuming you can. San Albino will be taking out these 4, maybe 5 veins as part of our open pit. So the main San Albino vein is over here. This is the area that we've done approximately 25,000 meters of infill work since early 2019. We completed that infill program a few weeks ago. There's the Naranjo vein and then the Aris vein, and collectively these 4 veins will make up the San Albino resource that we aim to have updated in Q3 of this year. We're approximately 70% done building the mine that will process this material. The Las Conchitas area is this area in the center part of this modified long section. And what we're drilling right now in the Bayacun area is just down dip from the historic Bayacun mine over here on the south side of the Las Conchitas area. So we do have a lot of structural continuity, certainly grade continuity. The average assay that we're pulling out of Bayacun is nearly 1/2 an ounce material, all near surface, all potentially open pittable, and clearly it's repeatable, and in our estimation, it will be modelable such that we can have a maiden resource on this sometime next calendar year.
And you're still drilling right now?
And we're still drilling. So currently we have, we finished our infill work over at San Albino, and then we've taken our rig count down to 1, focused at the Bayacun area and a little bit at the Mango area, just a little bit to the north. And the expectations is that once the mine starts generating cash flow, we'll probably be drilling at least the level of our peak drilling from last year, which was operating 6 separate rigs at both the infill work as well as the greenfields work that we have over at Las Conchitas.
Okay, because you've had a fairly aggressive program since 2019, and you intend to continue at that pace?
Yeah, we're not stopping drilling. We have taken down our rig count from a peak of 6 at the end of last year to 4 prior to the COVID situation. And now we were initially running 2 rigs up until about 5 weeks ago, and have been running a single rig doing greenfields exploration work over at Las Conchitas with a single shift of exploration managers.
Okay, so we'll continue to see results, but maybe at a lesser pace.
Yeah, there's still actually quite a backlog of results that need to come out, both at the Bayacun Zone, where we have 25 holes to release, the Mango area to the north, but still within Las Conchitas, there's plenty of holes that we do need to release over the course of the next few months. And there will be additional drilling that will come out as well with our single rig.
So Mako Monday will continue?
Mako Monday, exactly.
Okay. I'm just going to give a little bit more context. We were looking at this map earlier, but I've got one that kind of puts it all in perspective in terms of the full land package. Just to be clear, this is San Albino, where they're building a mine, and then to the south down here is, I believe, where you're talking about at Bayacun?
That's right. It's towards the southern end of Las Conchitas, exactly.
Great. And do you want to provide an update on what's going on with construction and COVID delays?
Sure. So in March of this year, we put out a news release that due to the global pandemic, we were taking our first gold pour back from late summer of this year, probably would have been late August, early September, to sometime in Q4. So as of March, with very limited information on how the pandemic would evolve, we were really just guesstimating that there was going to be a 2 to 4 month delay. Since that time, the pandemic situation has deteriorated in Nicaragua to a certain extent. I have been pleasantly surprised at how well our supply chain has been handling this. So very minimal delays in terms of equipment, consumables, and the things that it's going to take to complete our 500 ton per day operation, which is now 70% complete. We were tracking towards the high end of that 2 to 4 month delay, and I think that's pushing us right around Christmas time. So I don't think it's going to be practical for us to have a Q4 first gold pour date. So we're pushing that back to January, but we have a lot more information to support the new facts on the ground with how we're dealing with this pandemic. I put in the press release that the main offices where personnel are located within Mako are in Nicaragua, Mexico, Arizona, and New York. You probably couldn't have picked four locations that have gotten as hard hit by the virus globally, maybe outside of Wuhan, China. So we certainly were hit, and it certainly did it impact our ability to do construction? Like, for instance, there's no commercial flights available to get in and out of Nicaragua. So we've had to effectively deputize some of our local contractors to onboard them to our Nicaraguan subsidiaries to handle the on-the-ground management. So they've been doing a fantastic job, and I'm actually really impressed that we're going to come out of this global pandemic with a 4 to 5 month delay on the project, as opposed to something that could have been a lot longer than that, given the stresses on the global supply chain.
Well, that's it's good that you've been able to keep someone on track, and yeah, you've had great results. I look forward to some more. And thanks for taking the time to do an update. I think a lot of people out there appreciate that you're in communication quite a bit with your shareholder base through Twitter, and I think through video as well. So appreciate that. Thanks, Akiba.